Okay. Thanks a lot, Mick, for a great introduction, and hi to all the fans at the convention. Hi to Alan, to John, to Bob, to Mickey Moody, to Rick Parfitt Jr., to Patty, and all my friends there that I've not mentioned. I'm doing this right now from outside the YouTube headquarters in California, in San Bruno, and it seemed appropriate after the release of the YouTube channel and all the clips that I've been putting up there of the remix process of Rockin' All Over the World. What you're about to see is the title track, Rockin' All Over the World, that we did all those years ago at Studio Bohus. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you're having a great time at the convention there. And also, don't forget to pick up a copy of Alan and John's project, the Bombers album, that Alan's releasing at the convention. I did some work with Alan on that recently, and it turned out really great. So anyway, cheers from California. It is pretty warm here today. We've hit the 90s. I don't think you really want to know about that, but I hope England is sunny and you're having a great weekend. Cheers and thanks a lot, and really appreciate you all following along on the YouTube channel. See that Rockers Rolling now has got over 6,000 views, which is pretty amazing for a channel just started a couple of weeks ago with very little promotion. So that's it, signing off. Precious Pup, take care, have a great time, enjoy the video.
Hi everyone. Probably the most widely known out of all the Status Quo tracks has got to be Rockin' All Over the World, and form the title track of the album. And I'm on that right now, and it's sounding incredible. I've got all the low end back into the guitars and into the bass and the bass drum, and it's really steaming along. I'd always thought we'd done this from, memory serves, but there's one of the last tracks on the album. But when I went through the transfers in the order and the sequence that these 4 boxes that Bob had found at Francis' studio were compiled in, actually, Rockin' All Over the World was the 6th track that we cut. And I remember that Richard was pushing for the song, whether that came originally from, the management wanting the band to do it, but Richard was really pushing for it. And, like all the tracks that we did, there was always discussion on whether or not it was the right song to do. But I don't think any of us at the time knew the impact that it was going to have, which has just been, from that point on, from '77 on, been a monumental milestone, really, in the incredible career of Status Quo. And I'm so proud to have been associated with it, and equally proud now to be given the opportunity to have a shot of remixing it for the anniversary coming up next year. So I'm going to go through the track and isolate a few things out and talk about the guitars and solo things up. I'm giving a mixed feed from the desk to the camera, and so you'll be able to hear a few things in isolation that have never been heard before. I'm going to start off with Francis's initial guitar track, which we did 2 of, and take it from there. So that's up on the right-hand side now. Is Francis's first track. Once we got the basic down, he went back in and we did another one, which I've just soloed up now, which was a double to that, which is on the left side of the mix right now. Now Richard's part of the verses was that Chuck Berry style, like chop part, and then into the chorus as he goes into the chug with Francis. And I think this is an incredible highlight of how Francis and Richard work so well together, and I've never in all my career to date found anybody else that plays and locks like they do, and I think right now this is a great example of it. So there's a solo coming up. First half of the solo was done by Richard, and you can hear that now, and then it's taken over on the right side of the mix with Francis. It's coming in now on fader 31. Now, there was another part also to add in to Richard's first half, which I hadn't soloed at that point just now, but right now we're just into Francis's finishing off the second half of the solo. Okay, moving down to Alan. Two tracks on Alan. One was his bass cabinet, and the other one, which is I'm not featuring quite as much in the mix, so it's a little lower in level, was the DI, which is on 7. But just those two combined together, it forms Alan's bass track. Now with John, we got up here, we've got the kick drum, and then down on 3 and 4 is a stereo mix of the cymbals and the toms, and on 5 is the hi-hat. Now John was off to the side of us in an isolated room area, and we had a couple of ambient mics in there that I'll bring in that are on 15 and 16. And you can hear a little bit of the bleed, because when we started out, we had the sliding glass door closed, and I don't think John was very comfortable being so shut off from the band. I mean, this is one of the things that we learned as we went along, and by the time that I got to producing the Just Supposing and Never Too Late albums with the band, I had everybody in the same room and round in a circle from the recordings that we did at Windmill Lane. But at this point, we were still getting to know ways around, ways to do things, and for everybody to feel comfortable. And you can hear coming through on those mics in the background the bleed of the bass and the little bit of the guitars there leaking through onto those ambient mics. So I'll just take that out of solo for a minute, and you can hear the whole track now. And here we've got the last thing that we put on, which was Pip's slide part that we did at the Moody Blues studio just before we did the mix that night of the single. And I think that was his Strat that he did that on, but that's just my memory from 34 years ago. So, and it gets a little bit faded sometimes. So it might be best to check with him on that. But I'm pretty sure it was a Strat that he had that he did that slide on. So that's it in a quick overview. And we'll just leave it at that for the moment, and I'll come back and talk about a few of the other bits and the backing vocals in another little segment.